afternoon. I'm going to speak on a topic which bothers the presenter who is presenting for the first time and who is presenting even the 100 times. So I'm going to share a few tips and how and why these tips are important, because this is a very common scenario. It's not VIROC, but if you look at any other orthopedic conference, this situation is very common. And I'm going to give you 5 tips to prevent such things happen. The point 1, I'm going to tell you some incidents or anecdotes or stories which helps you to understand the point. Almost before 20 years, Gujarat has a devastating earthquake. And at that point, the Gujarat Orthopedic Association asked me and few of my colleagues to visit Bhachau and the Gadeeram, which was the epicenter of the earthquake. We went there to look at the orthopedic casualty, but at that point I realized something important. We came across a ground where there was a big heaps of clothes. So I asked, what is it? So they said that we have received these garments, these clothes from USA. So I tried to look at the quality. It was wonderful. So the next question which comes to our mind is like, why people are not taking it? I'm sure that if we have such a big heap of clothes, everyone would try to take something for their use. But people were not taking it. So I asked a question. So they said that this is from USA, and because of that, this is XL, 2XL, or 3XL. And in our area, we use either large or at the most XL size. So this is of no use to us. So why this is important and how it relates to us? We need to remember that even if you give a good material to the audience, which is not useful to them, they are not going to use it. So we need to remember to share the useful information. What is useful? For an orthopedic surgeon, if we tell us how to make a diagnosis in difficult situation, that's a useful information. If we give them a tips to improve the surgical results, that's a useful information. If we give them a tips to avoid complication, that is useful information. And always look at those lectures or those presenters who give this information, they are always appreciated. Coming to the point 2, if we look at the knowledge of audience, on the left side we have a minimum knowledge, which we call it 0, and on the 10, that's a maximum knowledge, like the presenter. If we take a random survey, usually we see it's a bell-shaped curve. There are few people having a limited knowledge, there are few people who are experts. Most of the audience, or the majority of the audience, comes in between. Now my next question to all of you is to ask, at what level we should pitch our talk? At the center, at the left, that's like at the level of 1 or 2, or at the level of 8 or 9? Dr. Rujuta, where would you focus? Okay, good. So let's understand the logic behind that and why we should try to focus at the point where I want to say something. Let's take a situation where you want to impress the audience. So you will talk at a very high level. What happens like this? A very few people, 10 to 20% of the audience will understand your point, but 80 to 85% will not understand your points. And for them, the situation will be something like this, a bouncer, or like this. If we focus, if we pitch our talk at this point, then 50% will understand, 50% will not understand. And in that case, the situation will be those 50% who are not able to understand will be wondering what's going on. Or this is what the situation is. But on the other hand, if you pitch it at this level, at a very basic level, then majority of the audience will understand. And you are likely to get a good, warm reception at the end of the talk. So the point is pitch it at the level so that most of the audience understand. I'm sure that you have a question in your mind that if we pitch it at this level, how people is going to maintain the interest. And for that, I'm going to give you next two tips, the tip 3 and tip 4. Okay, for point 3, the tip 3, I would again like to ask you a question. Suppose you are asked to make a cake, and your duty is to make it so good, so tasty, that people relish the cake. What will you do? Fine, I am sure that you must be thinking about, yeah, I will find the best chocolate, I will find out the best cream, I will find out the best butter. This would be the answer. But the correct answer for this is, we need to make people hungry. If people are hungry, then only they will relish the cake. Okay, so for that, it comes to us that if you want your presentation to make interesting, you need to arouse curiosity. The curiosity in the mind of audience, then only they will listen to your talk with interest. Point 4. If I give you two options, a simple piece of bread as an option A, option B, a good sandwich with cheese, with sauce, with ketchup, with vegetables, with good filling, which one you will feel, which one you will prefer? The B, good. If I give you a plain mamra, or I give you a bhel as an option B, which one you will prefer? Option B, good. And a bland pasta or a beautiful noodles, I'm sure that you will say we will prefer option B. So most of us prefer option B. Why? The reason is because it's chatpata. And we also need to make our presentation chatpata. The question is how to make our presentation chatpata. We can include case discussion, we can have pictures, we can have animations, we can have videos of surgical technique, we can have humor also, or we can have a story in the lecture. So all this makes our presentation chatpata and will make our presentation interesting. And coming to the last point, this is more of pitfalls which we do. Recently, I was at an airport and I saw a mother feeding a child. She was giving a mango juice to the child, and child was not taking it. Child was like saying, I don't want. So I was really surprised that why child is not preferring to eat mango juice, which most of us prefer. After few minutes, I realized that basically mother is constantly feeding the child for last 1 hour. And naturally, when you overfeed, no one would really like to eat. How this point relates to us? I have seen many presentations like this, like a Bombay local train, full of people, full of content, full of information. And when you overload the information, people really lose interest. So we need to remember to tell something, we don't have to tell everything. We just have to take care of the important points. So in the end, I would like to say that there are 5 points I would like to suggest to make our presentation interesting. The first, cover useful points. Pitch it at a level where everyone can understand. Arouse curiosity. Make your presentation chatpata and avoid information overload. Thank you.